going to hold you over because I want to continue this whole Vatican discussion. It's fascinating. I should do a whole show like on Jews or on Vatican or on Masons or on, and then just kind of look at how there's different groups in all these groups and how it's a globalist philosophy, a philosophy of tyranny versus a philosophy of liberty. And I'm just here promoting the philosophy of liberty, and I think we can get everybody involved in it. Back to the calls and talk about the Vatican thing the caller just brought up. I'm going to go back to him, Chris, and then take it to the bottom of the hour. Start getting in a hurry and start stumbling over my words. But how do you counter the ignorance of the public and ignorance in government as well versus those of us that are awake? I mean, we're not on some high horse saying we're real smart, but I can have discussions with billionaires, corporate people, you name it. They're so amazed that I know about fractional reserve banking or I know about basic stuff. I mean, just in business, that can make you so much more successful. How did they ever convince the public that it's dumb to be informed about how the world really works? And how do you reach out to people that are so stupid and so full of hate, they think smashing up a Christmas tree or shooting innocent cops in the head is a moral activity?
Well, you said something there, that not only are they not informed, but they're full of hate. And we see that, through the TV and the propaganda on the airwaves, whether it's through visual or audio stimulus, that they've been able to play on emotional strings of the people. And we see this a lot, too. You encounter people where you have the proof and the facts, and you can show them to somebody, and they will hate you for being the messenger or hate you for telling them the truth, not willing to look at the truth. It's a process that is, and trying to bridge that gap of helping people understand the information, not just showing it to them or giving it to them, it's hard to do these days. People are set in what they believe. And I think until the public has their own personal experience that opens their eyes or leads them to search for an answer, they're not going to be open to it because they've been conditioned. Yeah, conditioned shut.
It's conditioning. It's programming. It really, at the basis of at the root of the level. I mean, it's all mind control. It really is.
Well, I mean, if a cop killed somebody in my family in cold blood and got away with it, I would do things legally and other ways of that, whatever it took to get justice, but it would be against the person that did it, not against some random person in another jurisdiction. It gets down to mindless tribalism, Coke, Pepsi, Ford, Chevy, that it's just us against them. It's totally sick. I want to go back to Chris. If some people just joined us, Chris called in and said, hey, all roads lead to Rome, and doesn't the Vatican run the whole planet? From my deep research, the Vatican is up to its eyeballs in the New World Order, in setting up the Euro. The founding Treaty of Rome is what it's called. In 1957, that really first established the EU. The Catholic Church bishops in the Southwest are pushing for open borders and telling illegals to come in. So I think it's seditious. But then other Catholic bishops in Europe are trying to close the borders. I think it's diversified, and I'm not giving the Vatican a pass, but I'm not here Catholic bashing. My point when he said, do you think the Catholic Church runs it all all people do is fight over who runs everything. Is it the Illuminati, or is it the Masons, or is it the Jews, or is it the Rockefellers, or is it the Catholic Church? And then there's all this endless fighting. Hey, the Federal Reserve's private. It's screwing us over. Let's get rid of it. Hey, I just don't get caught up. It's more divide and conquer, I found, to get into bashing one group or another. Isn't it just corruption at the top? That's my take. Chris, what is your take?
I think there is a lot of diversity, and I do see a division in the Catholic Church, and I think a lot of higher ranking priests and bishops and cardinals are waking up to the truth. And I got to thank you for leading me back to the truth. You led me back to Christ, and praise God for that. And, when you look in Revelation, the great whore, the great harlot who rides atop the beast is the Catholic Church, is the Vatican. They are at the top of the pyramid, right underneath Lucifer.
Well, sure. I think it's state-run Christian fake. I mean, here's the issue: everything the Catholic Church is doing, the Protestant churches are doing as well. They're pushing for open borders. They're saying turn your guns in. They're saying do what the government says. That's all I'm saying is when we sit there and just single out one church or one organization, I think it plays into the larger divide and conquer. Go ahead.
Also, the new Illuminati official website, people have done some research and tracked it back to the Vatican Church. It was created by a Jesuit priest. I would love to hear a whole show on the Vatican. Maybe Eric John Phelps would be a guest. I know that.
But here's the problem. Here's my problem. Okay, Phelps has said things about me that just aren't true. And see, that's what I'm saying is that, and I appreciate your call, is that people make up these faux controversies. That's what I'm saying. Alex Jones works for Israel because he doesn't hate Jews. And, you know, then they Photoshop, you know, me at a Jewish wedding and stuff. I mean, it's just, when I have Jewish friends, it's all the infighting that Cass Sunstein talks about generating when he was the regulation czar, well, still is that it just falls into this mindlessness where I've been told by people, you will come out against the Vatican and say it's the devil and the only problem, or we'll expose you for working for them. Well, I don't work for the Vatican. So people that say, you know, do what we say, or we're going to have an inquisition of you, it's just another form of tyranny. So that's what and Israel tries to play people off, some of the Israel lobby, and make it all about the Vatican. And the Vatican, under the table, does stuff blaming it all on Israel. Well, I'm not in an Israel-Vatican fight. I'm not in a black-white fight or a black against cop fight. I'm here to promote liberty. I'm here to promote freedom. I'm here to promote ideas of free market and private property and freedom of religion, where you got freedom and I got freedom, as long as you don't infringe on my freedom or I don't on yours. It comes down to that. That's what I'm trying to get at. Let's go ahead and talk to Cupcake in Maryland. Then we'll talk to Denise, Eleanor, George, and others to see if we have any questions for our guest. Go ahead, Cupcake.
Well, hi there, Dollface. How are you?
I'm all right.
All right. I've got a question for Doug and Joe.
Go ahead.
And, you know, you can chime in, but I've read a series of articles this past week from Dave Hodges addressing the EMP threat. And I'm wondering how y'all feel about that, what your sources are telling you, how likely that is. And also my second question is, have you felt a significant shift, almost a paradigm shift in just the last couple of weeks?
All right, well, I mean, I'll give you my take and then theirs. I'm worried about a Carrington event from the sun, not so much a foreign EMP attack. An EMP attack is something the globalists might pull. Guys, give us your take.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I've talked to Dave Hodges a number of times this past week, the last 10 days, about his articles. Our viewpoints differ a little bit. While we see an EMP as being a possibility to take down the grid, it more than likely, at least in our view, based on what we've researched, it would happen perhaps at a later time, after things have been really, after we've been really raped, pillaged, and robbed here in the States. So that could come later. So
that's more of a coup de grace after they've already sucked us dry, deindustrialized us, had a civil war.
Right, barring, of course, like a Carrington type of an event, because there's much more wealth here for them, the globalists, to take. So they don't want to destroy us before they take everything from us. That's kind of my viewpoint.
That's right. A spider wants to suck all the juice out before he cuts the bug loose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's skip this network break so we get lots of calls in here and go right to the bottom of the hour with our guest. Thank you, Cupcake. Let's talk to Denise in FEMA Region 5. What former state are you calling in from?
FEMA Region 5, Minnesota.
All right, well, welcome to the airwaves.
Thank you. Listen, I pray for you every day, Alex.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Pray for your safety and your family.
Well, believe me, I need it, so thank you.
Don't we all? I mean, we all do. Here's my question. I am wondering what's going to happen in 2015 because of the new lawsuit that's coming out against the gun manufacturers in the Sandy Hook case. And the reason I say that is...
That should open up discovery of how fake it is. Great point. Go ahead.
There was a movie out with Gene Hackman and John Cusack, and it was called Runaway Jury. And it was a great movie, and it was about a gunman who went in and shot up an attorney's office and killed a bunch of the attorneys in the office. And what the wife of one of the injured people did was ended up going back and suing the gun manufacturer. And the movie goes into a great amount of how corrupt our whole judicial system is, and how they paid off jury members and all this kind of stuff. And I remember Wolfgang Helbig said one of his reasons for questioning Sandy Hook was nobody was suing. None of the parents were suing like they did in Colorado.
That is a super question. You get the gold star, I think, for the best question of the day out of a lot of excellent ones. Hagmann and Hagmann, give me your take on Sandy Hook and what this new lawsuit against Bushmaster means.
I'll just chime in here first. I think, Alex, I think you hit the nail on the head. Of all of the criminal and civil trials we've been involved in, the key here is going to be the discovery phase. Let's see what that brings, if it even gets to that point. If it's not, if the government doesn't step in, or the powers step in to say no, you're not going to go there, or they they quash the entire process. But I think it's an excellent point. The discovery is going to be key in revealing things yet unrevealed.
Yeah, and Sandy Hook. I think I'm not sure if it was you or another news agency that reported the FBI statistics of murders in 2000.
Well, the FBI's own site said none in that town, yeah.
I mean, and other examples were shown that they counted the massacre in Aurora and those victims in their statistics, and other situations that took place. But, Sandy Hook has been a big mystery for me, because there's so much, I think, not only disinfo, but planted disinfo, or, leading people down certain roads of seeking that was done intentionally. I think.
Sure. What do you guys think of Helbig? I mean, he was a big, successful, famous school safety guy. Wrote the book on a lot of it. All I know is I saw Cooper with blue screen out there, green screen. I know I saw the kids doing fake, rotations in and out of the building. They tore it down, all the unprecedented gag orders, the police in anti-terror outfits in the woods. Then they denied that had been in the news. I mean, something's being hidden there. You guys are on the East Coast. You have a lot of sources. What do you really think happened?
Well, Alex, what really happened, I don't know. But I'll tell you what we do know, and I can speak for Joe on this, and you can speak for himself, obviously, but what we do know is the original, or the official narrative, is not what really happened. I mean, look at look at the behavior of the coroner when he came out. That really struck me as being just the medical examiner there on scene, and being a blood spatter analyst myself, and working with coroners, working with police, working with prosecutors. I've never seen anything quite like that in my life.
Yeah, we talked about computer generated and false news reports. I think this was a pilot, possibly, and I'm not saying that the event didn't happen, or it definitely didn't happen the way they reported it to, but I think this was one of the initial ways that they're learning how to manipulate news coverage.
Very astute. That's what I said a few weeks into it. I said they may have killed real kids, but they're practicing how to propagandize and how to control the press, and how to put out a product that's a fraud. When I just saw the heavy scripting, that was what was so clear. And then the parents laughing, and then 1 second later doing the actor breathing to cry. I mean, it's just over the top.
Agreed. Yep.
Over the top sick. And we know they've staged other stuff before. I mean, they built fake villages and then didn't declassify it for about 5 years for Queen Elizabeth to visit in Africa.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of this, Alex, I got to tell you, to me, and this is a subject for another day, of course, but if you look at the satanic ritual sacrifice abuse of these psychos in power, and I mean, obviously that's another topic for another time, but just look at that as an overlay of what happened.
Well, just this week they've had in witchcraft deals 2 different dead kids this week, and then every time we talk about it, they go, "Shut up! The occult doesn't kill kids." Well, it has throughout history.
Absolutely.
So there's also this institutional cover-up of child abuse, not just in the Catholic Church, but across the board.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this, we have to figure this in as a variable here too. These are called high holidays and such. I mean, there's just so many aspects to this, but that was a great question indeed.
I mean, we had a 10-year-old boy mutilated and murdered just this week in a witchcraft ceremony. There was another one. I mean, this is going on, and then every time we raise it, we get attacked. I'm just reporting. This stuff goes on, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Denise. Excellent questions. Eleanor in Missouri, you're up next. Go ahead. Thanks for holding.